20 years before, the situation was different. British required a huge quantities of wood because of industries, factories, railway, all these things made increased the demand for the wood, and when the trees were started reducing, forest area decreased. So we can see that there are many plantations. We started discussing about the plantations also. There were many kinds of plantations like tea, coffee, rubber, and we can see all these plantations were in great in demand, and they were like fast growing things which gives huge income to the owners. So they that all finally we can observe that slowly there is a decrease in forest area, decrease in the forest area. So moreover, when we talk about rule during the Nizams, rule during the rule during the Nizams. When we see the situations during the Nizams, there were many new laws passed by the Nizam Sarkar, that is Nizam government, to protect the forest. They have taken forest under their control. The forest went into the hands of Nizam government. Then the government has changed systems. They passed new laws. They divided the forest into two kinds, that is protected forest. Then the other one is reserved forest. Reserved, protected forest, reserved forest. These are the two kinds of forests they have divided, categorized. If we see protected forest, it was forest could be used by the people. Protected forest can be used by the people. They can collect wood, charcoal, small forest produce from that, but not on the vehicles or the bullock carts. Head load, we call it as head load. Only the amount of wood, charcoal, fruits, whatever the small produce which we can carry on our head, that is why it is called as head load. It is not allowed to carry how much or whatever you want or the way you like. It was restricted. They wanted to protect it, so they allowed the people to enter and collect, but they put this condition that it is only head load, not as whatever they want. And they have established that these all will be under the control of a particular department. So they started a department called as Forest Department. It is called as we can see Forest Department. For the first time in India, Forest Department was established in India. Now we will see, is like establishing a forest department favored the tribals, or is it a loss, or we can say negative for the tribals? Is it benefited, or due to the establishment of the forest department they got affected? What happened actually? So when we see the government at that point of time did not really focus, or that is when Britishers or Nizam government was there, before that or during that, they never focused on the forest properly. But for the first time when they established the forest department, they started focusing on the forest department. So now we will see how the forest was controlled. Now the area under the forest control, it treated most of the land used by the people as a forest, like whatever land was under the tribals or the large areas by the trees, that was a forest. Unlike the plains, villages have a record, like this place belongs to particular person. But in the forest, there is no record. What or which place belongs to which person? There is no record at all. So, because they never continued cultivating for a long period of time, they shifted. They shifted the place from time to time because they followed that method, shifting cultivation, Podu cultivation method. So that is why it is called shifting cultivation. They shifted from time to time the place to increase the yield or to maintain the soil fertility. Even we can see there are some tribal communities like Gonds, Kolams, who practiced Podu cultivation in the hill slopes and leaving the lands fallow, selecting the other lands. That is, they cultivate a particular piece of land, they cultivate for 2-3 years, 2 years particularly, then they immediately change that other place, they shift and they start cultivating in the other land. So in this way, demigration of reserve forest did not take notice, and the practices followed by the tribals, they were never like, there was no particular concentration by the government on the tribals and the method they are following. So many tribals, even though they don't have any right, without any rights, they worked. But once the forest department was established, forced evacuation was continued. Means forcefully these tribals were kicked out from the forest. So at one stroke, all the tribals were rendered like homeless. They don't have the homes. They lost their shelter. And all these lands were under the control of zamindars, landlords, the rich communities in the society. They controlled the forest. They were given powers to control by the Nizam, by the Britishers. So in the next class we will see how the control of the rich landlords, zamindars, the rich communities in the society, and the problems faced by the tribals who live in the forest.